You can see my white page, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So today we are going to do the last chapter from the commercial law, that is LLP. Small chapter. With me only prepare. What is LLP? Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. So LLP full form is Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. So usually in short we pronounce like LLP. We don't say or we don't pronounce this big name normally in corporates or in if you visit in website also for filing the forms, you will see normally this LL, they are using this small short term only LLP. But this is the full thing like Limited Liability Partnership Act. This is a different kind of entity like partnership firm or company. You know, firm is a type of different types of entity. Like whenever you are opening a firm, we usually follow Partnership Act. Whenever you will open a company, you will follow Companies Act. And whenever you are going to open LLP, you will follow this act, LLP Act 2008. Now, this LLP Act 2008, in 2008 itself, not 2008, it is after this name, whatever year you will see is written, this is actually written year. That means on this year, this act was written by the lawmaker. But this LLP Act was passed on 1st April 2009 in Parliament. Normally, this only happens. So, whatever year you will see beside the Act, those years are written year. That means the lawmakers write those laws or frame those rules and regulations. After that, they place those act before the Parliament. Now, when the Parliament in the Parliament House, it got passed, the majority will vote, and if it passed on 1st April 2009. That means from 2nd April onwards, we are following, or we can, while opening a LLP firm, we are following this act. Now, this concept actually was before 2008 also, it was there in outside India, like in London actually, there was a concept of this LLP. There was many LLPs in London, outside foreign countries, not in India. Now, India got the concept from foreign country itself, and 2008 they brought this act, and along with firm company, they also said like you can open this type of company also, and you can name LLP, that is Limited Liability of Partnership. Though the term partnership is there in the name itself, but we don't usually follow Partnership Act in this LLP. Okay. Partnership Act is not applicable here. Though the term partnership is there in the name, still we don't follow Partnership Act here. We will follow only this act, LLP Act. This act will tell you how you are going to incorporate this LLP, how you will run this business, what are the provisions, what are the rules, etc., etc. This is the thing. Now, whoever formed this LLP Act or whoever written this LLP Act, they actually combined, or you can say they have taken some advantages from company law and some advantages from partnership. So they combined both the law and formed this LLP. So that's why you will see some features they have inserted from Companies Act and some features they have inserted from Partnership Act. So we usually say like LLP always combines the advantages of both the company and partnership into a single form of organization. So They in LLP Act only they have given some features from Companies Act and some features from Partnership Act and formed LLP Act. Got it? Now come to what is LLP. So whatever I have given this is the introduction of LLP. So basically LLP is an act which is written in 2008 but passed in 1st April 2009. This is actually Partnership Act is not applicable here, and LLP is a combination of the advantages of both company and partnership in a singular form of organization. Now come to what is LLP, just the meaning of LLP. First of all, this is the, you can say, new corporate form. Let me tell you the definition. LLP is nothing but a body corporate. LLP is a body corporate. Now, I will explain you what do you mean by body corporate. You will get this term in further also, like in Companies Act also, because company is also a body corporate. So wherever in law you will see this term, what do you mean by body corporate? Same meaning you will get. I am explaining what is body corporate. Body corporate is nothing but a legal entity separate from its partners, having perpetual succession, can own asset in its name, sue and be sued. Same definition of body corporate. Wherever you will see body corporate, this definition will be applicable. So many new words got introduced here. First of all, legal entity. Okay. Secondly, perpetual succession. This is another feature. Now, let us come from legal entity. Body corporate means a legal entity. What do you mean by legal entity? Legal entity means this is an artificial person created by law. Okay. We called company also is an artificial person created by law. We always say company is a person. Only the difference between company and a human being is they don't have lives, we are having lives. Clear? So artificial person means you don't have lives, but still as per law, you are a person. So artificial person means law created you and law has told you like you are a person. So that's why we called you as a legal entity. You are a legal entity. That means you are also a legal person or a artificial person. Who created you? Law created you. You are created by law. That is means by legal entity, and body corporate's first meaning is legal entity. Next is separate from its partners. In short, you can say separate legal entity. We called body corporate is a separate legal entity. That means though it's a person, company is an artificial person. That means company is having no lives. Okay. We form a company. When we form a company, we gives a name of a company, ABC Limited. Got it. So this company is something which created by law, but this doesn't have any lives. As well as this company is a person, still this company cannot speak, cannot move from one place to another, cannot attend meeting. That's why many people works under this company. Shareholders are there, directors are there, employees are there, managers are there. These people works on behalf of the company. In the name of the company, they works. That's why we always say, that's where, 1 minute. That's why we always say, like, company is an artificial person and separate from its people. Like, this is a company, ABC Limited, and it is separate from its employees, members, directors, whoever are there under that company is quite separate from it, because this is artificial person and these are normal human beings who are working under this legal entity. So that's why any body corporate is separate from its members, partners, whoever is working under it. That's why we called it, it's a separate legal entity, or else in one line you can say body corporate is it's usually separate from its partners. Next term is perpetual succession. Very important term, you will get many where. Perpetual succession, which means once you form a body corporate means you can take, it's maybe a LLP, company, anything. If you are forming any body corporate or this type of entity, this will exist from incorporation till winding up. Till winding up. Winding up means physically you have to apply for closing your business physically. Once you form your company, we called it incorporation. From that date till you are physically applying for closing your business, till that date, in between whatever happens, your company will exist in the register of government. There is one case law. There was one case law like that. Ki annual general meeting was going on in a hall. Okay. In a hall, annual general meeting is going on. In such meeting, every persons were there inside the hall. Shareholders, members, directors, employees, whoever people are there in of the company in the hall. Inside the hall, they were doing the AGM, annual general meeting. Outside the hall, war was going on, like a world war. Due to bomb blasting, this hall got destroyed. Not a single person is alive. Court held that, court said that the company exists. Whatever company's meeting is going on, the company still exists. Still no people are there inside the company. All are dead. But the name of the company is still there in the register of the government. Why? Because company is having a special feature, perpetual succession. We call this as perpetual succession. Once you incorporate a company, it will continue till you are physically applying for winding up. In between, whatever happens, if all the employees quits or you are appointing new employees or new projects, no money is there, no project is there, is not going to affect your company or body corporate. The name of the company will exist or will be there in the government's register. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, any question from up to this? Just tell me the meaning of body corporate, separate legal entity and perpetual succession. Any confusion? Again, I will explain. Clear, na? Next, come to again. So, we did legal entity, that is artificial person. Perpetual succession, separate legal entity. Now next, can own asset in its name. That means, though body corporate is a person, right? Body corp is, we called it, it's a legal person. Just you can practically you can link with us. We are also a person. You are an individual person. You are having rights. What rights you are having? Fundamental rights. Your rights should not be violated by anyone. Anyone is hurting you, you can file a case against that person. Anyone is injuring you or caused injury to you, you are having right to file a case against that person or go to court like that. These are all your rights, legal rights. Similarly, when you are forming a company, ABC Limited, for example, this is a body corporate. Though we are telling this company as a legal person, same characteristics are there like an individual or a citizen of a country. Okay. First of all, they can purchase any property in its name. Got it? That means in the paper of the property papers, whose name will be written? Who bought it? Company's name will be written because company is a legal person. So body corporate is having right to purchase any property in its own name. Though it is an artificial person, still they can purchase in its own name, and also they can sell also their property to any person. Any person they can sell it. This right is also there for the body corporate. That's why it was there, like can own asset in its own name. Any asset they can purchase in its own name. No need to give any other person's name or member's name or any representative's name. They can purchase in its own name, means company's name itself they can buy. And final right is they can sue others and can be sued by others. What do you mean by the term sued? That means we can say like you are filing case against some person. Okay, like A is filing case against B. So A is suing B. In legal word we are telling A sued B. So company also in a body corporate, if any person is doing fraud or any fraudulent activity, then body corporate is having right to file a case against that person. Similarly, if the person is not getting proper salary from company, or the company is violating the rules relating to the appointment terms and things, this person is also having right to file a case against company name. So that's why company can sue others and also can be sued by others. So this is the meaning of a body corporate. So now read once the meaning of body corporate. Body corporate is a legal entity. Body corporate is a legal entity separate from its partners, though it is a LLP, partnership. So I said it is a combination of partnership and company. From partnership, they have taken that partnership things, like all partners are there under this entity. And from company, this body corporate concept they have taken. So whatever entity you are going to open, LLP, this LLP company is separate from its partners. Once LLP formed, it will exist till winding up, which means perpetual succession. LLP can own asset in its name. LLP can buy any asset in its own name. And LLP is having right to file a case against any person and can be filed by any person, like any other person also can file a case against such LLP entity. So this is the meaning of LLP. Any confusion till now? You can tell.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, some advantages they have taken, I said, taken from company, and some advantages they have taken from partnership. Let me tell you what things they have taken. From company, they have taken this concept of body corporate. LLP is a body corporate. Big thing. Like LLP is a company itself. This concept they have taken from company. From partnership, they have taken the partners, because in LLP, whoever are there, those we call them as partners. Partners contributions are also there. This concept is also taken from partnership. Okay. Next is agreement concept. This also they have taken from partnership. But again, formation of partnership is like company. We have to go like, means how we incorporate a company by entering into website like ministry mca.gov.in. This is a ministry website. If you enter here, through this website we usually incorporate a company. Similarly, LLP also incorporated through this only. But partnership is not like that. Partnership agreement is itself not mandatory to register. It's optional thing. But LLP registration is mandatory. So this is just a idea like what concepts they have taken from company and partnership. Now come to LLP. LLP, a good thing is there. Act says, LLP Act 2008 says, whenever you will prepare agreement of LLP, good thing is that Act is telling whoever partners are there, they are feel free to fix the content of the agreement, like what they wants to insert and what they don't want to insert. As per their wish, they can include the clauses. This flexibility partners get in LLP. Nowhere such flexibility is given, but LLP Act usually given this flexibility to the partners, that whatever partners want to insert, they can insert as per their choice in under terms and condition of this agreement. But there is a but. Once this agreement is fixed, that means they will insert as per their will, as per their wish, whatever they wants to insert. Once it is fixed and final and got registered, they are bound to follow this agreement. They cannot breach this agreement. They are bound to follow this agreement. If they don't follow such agreement, we can say partners are doing breach of agreement. That means partner are violating the conditions, terms and conditions. For that, partners will be punishable. So flexibility has been given to the partners till the agreement got registered. Before registration of agreement, they got the flexibility to insert whatever they want inside the agreement content. For example, think I want to open an LLP firm. Now I am fixing the LLP terms and clauses, when the starting time of my office, the logout time of my office, what are the terms and conditions, what are the facilities I will give to my employees. Okay, minimum contribution, I am fixing something. Any clauses I can fix, because Act says I can fix my clause as per my will. Act is not going to restrict you anything. Nothing is written in the Act what to write and what not. Normally in Companies Act, everything is written. You cannot go outside the purview of Companies Act. But in LLP, not like that. LLP Act is very flexible. You can decide anything inside the agreement. But the thing is, once it is final, fixed and got registered, then you are bound to follow this registered agreement. If you don't follow, then we can say you are violating the rules, and due to violation, you will be punishable under law. This is a thing is there under LLP Act. Now, next. though the partnership concept is there in LLP. So LLP, I said, is a company, first of all. So whatever name you want to give your company, along with that, if you are opening a LLP company, we usually affix the term LLP dot LTD. Okay, this is the affix thing along with your name. Any name you can give. If you are opening LLP, then LLP dot LTD you have to add along with your name. Now under that, there will be partners. For example, A, B, C are the partners. They will make the contribution. For example, think 1 lakh has contributed 2 lakh, 3 lakh or 2 lakh, for example. So with this capital, they will start their LLP. Got it. Now, this concept they have taken from partnership, this partnership, this thing like contribution portion, and contribution limitation is not mentioned in LLP Act. Any amount they can contribute in the towards the partnership means LLP Act. But though the flexibility is there in the Act that they can insert anything in the agreement, if partners want to include such clause that they are fixing the minimum contribution amount, then the partners should follow such minimum contribution amount. So it is all on partners till the registration of agreement is done. Now, here though all are partners, here no management and management is not separate from these employees. Got it? So though 3 are partners, they are equal. Like all are in management, all are workers, all are employees equally. So no one is boss, no one is like employees. And here such concept is also not there, like active in whatever we have read in partnership, active, sleeping, all this concept is not there in LLP normally. So here what happens, though these are not there, we are usually follow the provisions of Companies Act. All are in management team. Full management team is doing running on an entity, that is LLP. All are under management. All are doing work physically. And yes, all these partners can hire the workers or employees. Under them, the employees can work. But main management is these 3 partners with whose contribution this LLP has started. Now, as per LLP Act, next clause is, if you are opening an LLP, limited liability or partnership, then you have to maintain annual accounts. You have to maintain annual accounts. But there is also a clause, but audit of accounts is mandatory when the contribution of the partners exceeds rupees 25 lakh and annual turnover of the company exceeds 40 lakh. Then only your audit is mandatory. This only question usually comes from LLP every time. Okay, like explain about the maintenance of accounts of LLP when the accounts is mandatorily needs to be audited in LLP firm. Okay, so in LLP you have to maintain annual accounts, that is okay, but audit of such accounts is mandatory when your contribution of your LLP firm exceeds 25 lakh, you have to remember, and annual turnover exceeds 40 lakh. Then only audit is mandatory. If your contribution is less than 25 lakh and annual turnover is less than 40 lakh, audit is not mandatory as per law. So you have to remember this contribution, 25 lakh contribution and annual turnover 40 lakh should not exceed. If it exceeds, then audit is mandatory in such LLP. And if it doesn't exceed this amount or this limit, then audit is not mandatory. This is one of the important clause under LLP you have to remember. Next is formation of LLP. When you will form LLP, you know the partnership concept is there in LLP. Minimum 2 partner is required because one cannot be a partner of myself. Means I cannot be a partner of myself. I need some other party to be my partner. So always, though partnership concept is there in LLP, always required minimum 2 partners. Got it? Maximum limitation is not mentioned in the Act, but minimum 2 partner is required to start an LLP. Now, who can be a partner? Got it? Now, one example I am giving. For example, like, first of all, who can be this partner? Now, think you have opened one LLP firm, ABC LLP Limited. This is your firm. You newly started. Now, who are the partners? Who can be the partners under this firm? One is any individual like us, any individual party, either resident in and outside India, doesn't matter, can be a partner of LLP firm. Secondly, any company incorporated, incorporation means formation, okay, incorporated in and outside India. So company, any company can be the partner of LLP firm. And lastly, any other LLP firm can be a partner. Maybe other LLP firm incorporated same in and outside India can be the partner of LLP firm. So who can be the partners of LLP firm? First of all, an individual like a person, Mr. A for example. For example, see Mr. Ram. Ram is a person. He can be a partner of LLP firm. Secondly, any company incorporated in and outside India. Company means artificial person. It may be, for example, ABC Limited or Wipro Limited, for example, can be partner of this LLP firm. Or other LLP firm, for example, think Flowers LLP Limited. Any other firm who can be the partner of this LLP firm. Okay. Now, what you have to understand. Mr. Ram is an individual person who can visit to this firm, can attend the meeting, can do the work, all this work he can do. So, Mr. Ram is a partner, fine. But the company, LLP firm, both are body corporate. Both are body corporate. And what do you mean by body corporate? It is a legal person. What do you mean by legal person? It is an artificial person. That means a company also cannot move from one person to one place to another. Company cannot speak. Company cannot attend the meeting, cannot vote also. Because it's like a building. I only give a name and it's an artificial person. Same with LLP. Now, in this case, who will physically attend the meetings? Who will physically represent these companies before this LLP? Who? As a partner. So, if a body corporate is a partner, then such body corporate will hire or appoint their representative. They also will appoint representative who will represent this company before as a partner here. All the papers will be in the name of this firm only, in the company only. But the person who will go to attend the meeting, who will speak on behalf of the company, who will go to here as a partner and work, that will be the representative. Because these are body corporate artificial person. So you have to this is the thing, like if the partner is an individual, so he is a non-human being, so he can visit the company, he can work as a partner, he can attend the meeting. If he is having any query, he can clear it out. But if a body corporate is a partner, then what will happen? Body corporate cannot speak, cannot move. They are artificial person. It's like a building. How they will go to a meeting and can attend the meeting and speak out? So in such cases, any person who are working in this company, any person will be appointed as a representative. That person will represent this company. Okay, and they will go to their meeting, attend the meeting. They will speak on behalf of meeting. They will prepare the documents, but in the name of the company itself, or in the name of this representative, in the name of the LLP company itself. So this is the way how it happens actually if body corporate is a partner. Any confusion from this portion? This is also very important, and audit portion is also very important. Any query can ask.
No, ma'am. It's clear only.
Okay. Next. Next is we will discuss about the process of formulation of LLP. Now you want to open an LLP. Now what are the process you will follow as per LLP Act? There are some process. That means it will go stepwise. First I am writing the heading. First is capital contribution. Next is designated partners. Thirdly, DPIN. Fourthly, DSC. And fifth, LLP name. Now, these are the process how you are going to form an LLP. Now see, when you want to open an LLP, first you have to check the partners. Got it? Now first you will check the partners and you will check the partners contribution. How much capital is coming inside your LLP to start such LLP? How much capital total it's coming from the partners? So first is capital contribution you have to focus. Now first you will select the partners. For example, A, B, C, you got 3 partners. Now you have to fix it out how much total capital they are going to contribute, A, B, C. Now that total amount you have to fix under capital contribution. Okay. Second, you have to focus who will be the designated partners. Now think in your LLP you got 3 partners, A, B and C. Now Act says at least minimum the 2 partner is required to start LLP. But if you are having more than 2 partners, then at least out of 2 partners from out of all, for example, you are having 4 partners, think A, B, C, D. Now out of 4 partners, you have to select any 2 as designated partners. Designated partners, how you will choose? Like any 2 you will choose with their consent. You will ask them who can actively work in the company, who will be active or always stay in India, like that. So any 2 you will select as a designated partner. Out of 2, 1 shall be resident in India. That also you have to check. So 1 always should stay in India, others okay, optional, may go outside India. But any out of all partners, any 2 will be decided as a designated partners, whom you will register under the designated partners. Their name will be there under the designated partners you will keep, who will be always available in the office. And also you have to check out of these 2 whom you have chosen from many partners, out of 2 at least 1 should be resident of India always. So accordingly, any 2 partner will be registered as designated partner of your LLP firm. This is your second work. Third is deepin. What is deepin? Designated partners identification number. Now, you know, directors. Directors is not a director without DIN number. Okay. If a director is having no DIN number, that means he is not at all a director as per law. Got it? For us, I am a CS. Without my registration number, I am not a CS at all. No one knows my name itself in a company. Everyone want to know my registration number. So whenever any professional, any like CS, CMA, anyone, like when they qualified as a professional, their name is hardly people knows until and unless you are a very popular person. But in our field, our registration number is everything. So with this registration number only, we sign the balance sheet, all the board reports, all the resolutions, everything we sign with this resolution. That means this registration number. So this registration number is our identity, you can say. This registration number is our identity in our corporate field, not our name. So how you will come to know I am a CS? You have to search by giving this registration number. If you search by giving my name, there are millions of same name like Priyanka. So that is the same thing in a corporates. What happened? DIPIN means those who are designated partners or directors. Sorry, where is it? Directors or directors or designated partners, they should have also one number. Got it? With that number, they will get their identity. So similarly, whenever you will choose out of all partners, you will choose any two designated partner, you have to apply for DIPIN number from the ministry. Got it? You have to apply by giving their names, and you have to apply that you have to obtain this designated partners identification number. They will give you some number, for example 6666, some number they will give, and with this number only these designated partners can sign in the documents of your company, LLP entity, LLP firm. What is this? Okay. So this is DIPIN number. Now all directors are having DIN number. Now designated partners who will be registered themselves as designated partners, they should also needs to obtain DIPIN number. Until and unless they are having DIPIN number, legally they are not designated partners. Now, nowadays we don't file any form manually. Nowadays this manual things, so just nothing is there, whatever we are doing manually other than signing balance sheet. Got it? Now whatever filing we are doing now, all online, like we are visiting the MCA site, we are downloading the forms, we are just filling the forms online, we are affixing our digital signature, and we are submitting it by paying online itself. So though the manual signature is completely abolished nowadays in a company for filing forms with government, so DSC became mandatory. What is DSC? Digital Signature Certificate. Digital Signature Certificate. So those are the people will sign the papers. For example, CA, cost accountant, CS, okay, advocates, or other professionals like directors, MD, managing directors. These people needs to sign the papers of the company, like board reports we need to sign, balance sheet, profit and loss account, whatever financials they prepare, all things we need to sign it and needs to file online by filing AOC 4, MGT 7, all these forms are there. Now how we will sign manually in computer, right? So there this digital signature certificate concept came. You have to, whenever your signature authority will come, like signing authority you got, you have to sign, then you have to take this DSC. So DSC nowadays, so DSC, obtaining DSC is very easy. like you have to like all these works usually done by TCS itself, because all government works nowadays done by TCS. Full ministry is handled by TCS. Got it? Now this DSC things is also they only do it, and but you have to, there are many other authorities are there who usually ask you, like they usually make the DSC for you, they will take some money and all. Otherwise you can apply from ministry also. So you have to fill the form, you have to give your small passport size photographs, you have to give your signature, okay, as well as your designation, because there are class 2, class 3, all these things are there. Like those who are professionals, they takes a different DSC. Those who are IT file, those people only files the IT, like they takes a different DSC, like that. Bankers are having different class of DSC, like that. So you have to giving specification, you have to give what designation you wants to take the DSC, as a director or as a company secretary or as a chartered accountant, like that. You have to pay a check. You will get a this pen drive like things. Okay. Now this pen drive things is a, you will call it as a token. Got it? Here only your signature is there. So whenever you will sign a means PDF form, normally in MCA site all are PDF. So here what happens, we have to insert that pen drive. One software will be there for that digital signature, like that software will come, and there what happened, immediately they will ask for a password. You will get 2 keys. One is private key, other one is public key. Private key password, it will be with you only. You will give that password. This private key is only to create DSC, digital signature. And one public key will be there with the government. Okay. They will verify your signature. They will give from their site, the one password they will put. If it will verify your signature, then the signature will come into this PDF at the place of signature. So this is a system of DSC actually. So DSC means onlining, in online we are signing the forms, documents, like this. So nowadays, now the out of 2 designated partner, one must be ROI. Now though you have selected 2 as DP, both should obtain DP, both should have DSC. Why? Because with this DP, with this DSC, they need to sign all the file forms, documents of your LLP firm. Got it? So under process, first you have to fix the capital contribution. Next you have to fix the designated partners. Any 2 you have to select out of all, out of 2, one must be ROI. When you, after your selection of DP, you have to obtain DP number, designated partners identification number. When you get the number, with that number you have to obtain DSC so that they can sign all the documents online. And finally, you will fix your LLP firm name, LLP name. So in this name concept is almost same like others. Whatever name you will give, it must not be similar name or prohibited words. You should not use any type of abusive terms or slang words in the name, okay, as well as it should not be similar with other company which is existing. Got it? These 2 things you have to keep in mind. Other than that, you can give any name. Along with that, though you are opening an LLP entity, you have to affix LLP.ltd. Got it? So normally when we open private company, we will read in Companies Act, we actually affix private company pvt.ltd. Okay. For public company, we don't use this PVT, only LTD. Got it? Whenever we use open a firm, we usually use a name along with and co. And in LLP, whatever name you will give, along with that LLP LTD. Clear? So this is the process. Next come to LLP agreement. One clause so we have read, like this is flexibility is there for the partners to fix the content of agreement. Whatever they want, they can insert in the agreement as per law. But once the agreement is fixed and final and registered, they are bound to follow this. Next. Okay. Now, whatever clauses you will write, that's okay. Fine. Other than clauses, what are the important things you have to mention here? These are, you can write of your own, like capital contribution, name of the partners, address of the partners, okay, form of contribution or mode of contribution, profit sharing ratio, rights and duties of partners, okay, and also for how much, means duration of this agreement, like for how long this agreement will become valid. Like you have made this agreement for 2 years. So after 2 years, again, you have to renew this agreement. Otherwise, it will become invalid. Clear? So these are the important things you have to enter here in the under the LLP agreement. Any question till up to this? No, ma'am. Okay. Next important clauses, this act says about registered office of LLP. About registered office. This act says where you will open registered office of your LLP, you will select the place where you want to open the registered office of LLP, where all correspondence related with LLP would take place. So, for example, you are sitting in Bangalore, but you are doing maximum business, or your maximum client is from Mysore. So, Act says where you are doing maximum business, your maximum client is from Mysore, so you have to open the head office here only. You cannot open here, though you are sitting alone in Bangalore. Got it? So, Act says where you are going to open the registered office of your LLP firm, where all correspondence related with LLP would take place. So, you have to see like maximum correspondences belongs from which city. Like maximum client are from which city, in which city you are doing maximum business, comparatively like that. So, see, accordingly, you have to select that place to open your registered office. This is for clause under registered office. Second is, your LLP firm should maintain statutory records and books of accounts. Got it? Books of accounts, you know. What do you mean by statutory records? The term statutory means legal. Legal records. That means register, minute books, documents, all legal papers, whatever you are having legal records, and along with that, every year you have to maintain accounts, annual accounts. That books of accounts, both you have to keep in your registered office. This is also a very important thing. For example, think you have opened your registered office in Mysore and branch office in Bangalore, one in Bangalore and other one in Hyderabad. So, as per LLP Act, you have to keep all these statutory books, statutory records and books of accounts in registered office, that is in Mysore, not in Bangalore and Hyderabad. Because always whenever the government will come to check you or they will come for inspection, always they will come to your head office only. They are not going to come to your branch office. So it is required, it is always, it is in Companies Act also, like all the documents, all the register, all the books of accounts, you have to keep in your registered office, head office. And you have to keep not in your house also. You cannot keep all those documents in partner's house. You have to keep in registered office itself. This is the second clause. So first clause is you have to open registered office in that place where maximum correspondence related with that LLP would takes place. That means maximum business is happening. Secondly, all whatever records you are maintaining, whatever it's registered or documents, minutes, whatever is there of your LLP or books of accounts, you have to keep it in your registered office, not in branch office or other anywhere. And third clause is, if your registered office, if your registered office is rented, then you have to submit rent agreement as a proof of ownership. And if it is your own house, if it is your own, then also you have to own agreement or whatever you are having, the property deeds, whatever you are having, you have to submit it for the proof of ownership. So in case it is rented, you have to submit rent agreement or else your actual agreement or deed as a proof of ownership. Okay, this is important clause under LLP. Now up to this, any confusion?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And finally, we will discuss about advantages and disadvantages. Like, if you open LLP, what are the advantages, benefits you can enjoy, and what are the disadvantages are there if you may face if you open LLP. Okay. One is advantages, other one is disadvantages. Let us discuss about advantages. LLP formation is very simple, you know. Formation is very simple compared to company. If we discuss about company, next day we will start Companies Act, you will see companies incorporation is a toughest one. Got it? Means maximum compliances you have to fulfill. Lot of forms you have to file and many compliances, means what your company is doing in every step you have to inform your register of companies. But compared to company, LLP formation is very simple. Nothing is there. Only with contribution agreement also you can fix it. What you will write, along with that you can just start your LLP. That's why this is one of the advantages. Like, to form LLP, it's a very simple procedure you have to follow. Second is, though the LLP is getting the tag body corporate is a weight word. Okay, that means whenever we are telling it's a firm, the weightage usually reduced. But if I say it's a company, it's always is having a value and a weight of a word is there. Word is having a one weight. So body corporate itself is having so much features, like LLP can sue others, can be sued by others, or can sell, buy any property in its own name, can sell its own property. It's quite separate from its partners. It's a legal entity. It's a big word and it's a valuable words, and we called it as a body corporate. So your automatically the reputation will increase by though it's a body corporate. Third is perpetual succession is one of the advantages. Though you are having perpetual succession, your company is not going to close in any way. In partnership, we have discussed, one partnership died, your partnership is going to dissolve. One partner is going to retire, your partnership is going to dissolve, like that. But LLP, whatever happens in LLP, until you physically applying for winding up, no one can close your LLP. It will exist. Once you incorporate your LLP, it will be there till winding up. In between, whatever you do, whatever is there, any person is not there, Okay, so like for example, no billing is there itself for your company. You are not doing business. Still, your companies exist in the name of the register of the government because you have not applied anything physically for winding up. This is also one of the advantages. So, fourthly, like opening an LLP, like you are getting flexibility to fix your agreement. Who gets this flexibility? In companies, you are full stuck with the rules and regulation. Company will regulate you. But here you are getting flexibility to fix the agreement itself. How you will run your company, you will fix it. So till it get registered, you can include the clause as per your own. Na? Act is not restricting you. This is one of the big advantages here. Here it is very easy to enter, join also, and also leave. Anytime you can leave, no clauses is there in the act. Anytime you can join as a partner, no clauses is there in the act. That means no such complex compliance or rules is there for joining and leaving the LLP firm. So this is also one of the good advantages. Next is, for opening LLP, normally the tax rate is lower than compared to the company. That's why many people open LLP. Okay. So rate of tax is very cheaper, very lower. So if you open LLP, so tax rate is less. This is one of the advantage. And finally, rules and regulation compliance is very less compared to company. Because you have seen the audit is itself not mandatory until and unless your contribution exceeds 25 lakh as well as turnover exceeds 40 lakh. So till that time you can enjoy your life in LLP, right? So once it comes, okay, fine. Once in a year you will do audit of your accounts. But till that you can enjoy, na? But company itself, if you have loss also, then also you have to do audit. Got it? So many compliances are there in company, but in LLP, compliance comparatively very less. So these are the advantages of LLP. Now about disadvantages. They cannot raise fund from public. Okay. So in company we will read, whenever company will once or company need money to do a business, or every time company never spend from their pocket, right? So to raise fund, they always issue shares. Okay, so they issue shares and they raise their fund. But in LLP, where is this share concept? No share concept is there. So there is no concept of raising fund from public itself. Okay. Next is, here liability may extend, means personal asset of the partners also. Means liability may become unlimited sometimes, though there is partners. So the partners have opened their own company to save their own LLP firm. Maybe they are touching their own asset, sell their own asset and can spend for LLP. Maybe the LLP needs money. So how they will recover that money, or how they will give that money. So in such time, what happened na? Partner sells their own property, own jewelry, own things, and they recover money and they invest in their firm to save their firm. But in company, no. If they need fund, they will issue share, they will raise from public, they will get the investor like shareholders, debenture holders, many investors they will get. But here, no such investor concept is there. So if money needs means, their limitation will become unlimited. No separation of management from the owners. This is one of the disadvantages. No separation from management from owners. What does that mean? Like normally this is easy if you work like under someone. Someone is telling you, like there is a boss employee concept. So you can work as per the instruction given by your management team or your boss. But here what happens, all are partners. All are in management team. So no one is superior, no one is subordinate. So everyone has to listen to everyone. So here what happens, though the no separation in management is there, a lot of confusion creates. like whatever ideas, plans they prepare, whether those are correct or not, no one is there to verify. No senior person is there to verify. Like normal in management case, what in employees, if they do mistake, management teams are there to rectify, or your boss is there to cooperate. But here no such senior person is there to help you. Whatever ideas, plans if you are doing, it's on the basis of your risk, on your own risk. Okay, so if there is any confusion, if you means if you face loss, then at your own risk only, no one is there to share it. Next is and finally, one of the disadvantages is in case of company, na, we usually, there is a registrar, ROC we called it, registrar, TRAR, which means authority. Don't confuse with registrar. TER is a book where you do the entries, registrar. Wherever you will see TRAR, registrar, this is an authority. So ROC is registrar of companies. So this is the authority of company. So how you will run your company, how the company will do its business, they has to inform to this ROC, that is registrar. Got it? Now LLP also is having registrar. Now one disadvantage is that in case of company, ROC is there in every city, you know, in Bangalore, in near Kodmangla, Mysore, Hyderabad, in every city itself ROC is there. If you need any physical help, you can go there and you can talk to those person. But LLP register is only centralized at Delhi. No other place, no other place the LLP register is there. Okay, only it is centralized at Delhi. So if you need urgency, some physical help, you have to go to Delhi and you have to solve it out. So this is also one of the most disadvantages under LLP. Okay, so your LLP is done. Any question? Now do it.